Well, hello YouTube and welcome to another video on my channel. I just completed my first ever art challenge and I am so excited to share with you what I have been creating for the past 31 days. So please settle in, grab yourself something yummy, warm to drink. I'm going to get started straight away. Well, thank you for joining me. I have prepared for this glorious occasion of an art challenge completion, a chai latte. I am drinking this double spice chai from Stash. Stash is a Portland company, so it's blended in Portland, local. Yeah, so that's what I've made today. I even still steeping my tea bag because I'm crazy like that. But I have some steamed milk and some cinnamon. I went all out. Cheers, y'all. Please let me know down below what you are drinking. And I would love to know. And while you're down there, please give me a thumbs up for completing this challenge. I would be so grateful. All right, so I decided to commit to an art challenge. I gave this a lot of thought, and I even did like an Inktober preparation, and I ended up not doing that. I ended up doing a different art challenge. And this is my sketchbook that I used. It's a Life Noble notebook. I will leave everything, all the products that you see, I'll leave it all linked down below, and I appreciate you using those links. I ended up doing Peachtober, and I wasn't really feeling inspired by the Inktober prompts, so I just did like a general search. And full transparency, had not ever seen any of Furry Little Peach's work or videos before this. I have now, and I'm really excited that I discovered them. But so anyway, I used their prompt list. And I printed it out and put it here. And I had recently purchased a set of the Caran d'Ache Neocolor ones, and I hadn't really had a chance to use them. I had used them a little bit in like adding just some little bits. I swatched them, and then I used them like to add into like some other like watercolor paintings or something, like marker pieces, like in my sketchbook. But I hadn't used them in like a full piece, and I really wanted to. I have had the Neocolor 2s for some time, and they differ. So if you don't know, Caran d'Ache, these are basically crayons. They're wax pastels by a company called Caran d'Ache. The Neocolor 2s here are water soluble, and they're a lot of fun. And they also make Neocolor 1s, which are not water soluble. They're basically like grown-up crayons. They're beautiful. They're artist crayons. They're pricey. And I had an opportunity to pick up a pack at Blick's. I had a $10 gift card to Blick, and these were $20. So I was like, I'm in for $10. And I hadn't really, like I said, had an opportunity to use them. So I decided to say, okay, I'm going to use these for 31 days and see what comes of it and see what happens. So this was my first real attempt at using the Neocolor ones. And the first prompt was acorn. And I was just kind of seeing what they would do. You know, would they layer? How would they layer? Yeah. And I spent some time, drew, several different acorns. And I was like, all right, I could maybe get into these. On day 2, the prompt was kite. And I'm not going to lie, I was frustrated and not real happy with this. I felt like clearly it was very kind of childlike, especially after the acorn seemed so not even, illustrative, right? It's just kind of, and it also didn't challenge me. It was just challenging because I was like, I went in too hard, too fast. Yeah, I used my graphite pens to kind of sketch it out, but I was frustrated. I was like, okay, go fly a kite with these. But then I spent some time trying to think outside of the box. And I was like, all right, what does wind look like? And I tried to like draw just with one Neocolor, kind of some different wind patterns in an illustrative manner to see kind of what that could communicate. And I liked that. And immediately here on day 2, I could see start to see the value in having these prompts and just committing to a challenge like this, because it prompted me already on day 2 to think in different ways when I approached a piece or got frustrated with a piece. So I was excited for day 3. Day 3 was slug. And I used actually a reference photo of my own for this. Over the summer at my campsite, I had dropped an egg on the ground and went to go get stuff to clean it up. When I came back, there was a giant banana slug there slurping it up. And yeah, did a great job at it, cleaning up after me. But I couldn't believe it. I'm in Oregon, and we are known for these giant banana slugs. And I'm telling you, they are giant. So that was my banana slug. And then Day 4 was gingham, so that was fun. I used a lighter hand, you can see, for the first time with the crayons. And on day 5 was poppy. Now, day 8 was leaf, and this was something I came back to, and I found myself coming back to drawings throughout the month and adding to them or doing different things or reattempting them. And so that was something that I found out pretty early on that was kind of cool to do. So on day 5, the prompt was poppy. And this was like my opportunity to try and do something a little bit more delicate with the crayons. And I gave myself a lot of opportunities to do so here with lots of different poppy flowers. And I learned so much. You know, it was a lot of fun. I'm familiar with the subject matter. I'm familiar with poppies. They're, you know, pretty common thing to draw and paint for me. And so I was comfortable with this object, and really enjoyed kind of taking different approaches and different strokes and weights with just the red crayon. A lot of fun with this piece. And then on the 6th was ring. And I was feeling like I was taking a very simplistic approach to a lot of these prompts. You know, I was taking them very literally. I wasn't really thinking of them creatively. Wasn't putting a whole lot of effort that way. And on this day, I had a little extra time and I wanted to be a little extra creative. So I ended up doing a telephone for ring, like a retro one. And I had a lot of fun with this. It was really nostalgic for me. I grew up with these kind of phones and, you know, with a wire into the wall. And, you know, I had so much fun with this, and I felt like I was learning a lot. So I wanted to continue it. And so I drew a switch plate to go with it. And I'm so happy with the way the switch plate came out. And like I started to see this medium in a whole new light. I know it doesn't show here on day 7 with the strawberry, but I tried to use it more like an oil pastel to see kind of what that would happen, and you know, try to like layer the different colors in the stem and on the strawberry itself. And I think they're better off use like traditional crayons. Then for the 8th day, I went back and did a leaf for my slug. And that was neat to have kind of this background. And then, you know, because by this day, see, I knew that I couldn't layer my yellows over my green. I found that out, or the red. I found that out when I drew the strawberry the way that I did. So here I was able to put down a yellow background and then put down a leaf for my slug, and leave the background as the highlight in the veins of the leaf, and try that. And I really liked that. I learned a lot with that approach. And then it was also about this time that I noticed when I was going back that the work that I was doing on this side of the paper would then transfer and come through, and I was getting some ghosting. And I also was able to see like that I was getting some transfer of marking in my work. And I was like, well, that's unfortunate, you know, that it's one page is transferring to the other from the crayons. So on day 10, the prompt was critter, and I drew something again, kind of, I've been feeling nostalgic. And so I grew up in the 80s. And so I grew up with the little critter books. If you know, you know, and if you don't, you should. They're great. So anyway, I drew a little critter, and I didn't, you know, want to do artwork over here yeah, I really liked the way my little critter came out, and I wanted, you know, I was okay with it transferring a little bit, but not onto another piece of artwork. So it was here when I considered maybe only working on one side of my pages. And then here, Seagull was the 11th. And I, again, stayed with a really simplistic drawing because I was really learning a lot about this medium. Here I played with different textures and experimented with the different textures that I was able to get with the Neo colors. Here I tried to get like a smoother blend with the sky. And I played with just my different, what I could do with the water. And in here, I'm just still using the Neo color ones. I did end up using, this was the first time I brought in an acrylic marker for the bird to give some gray tone here. But I used white Neo color on the bird there. And I used Neo colors on the bird's legs. And put my lights down first and then my darks. And what I really liked was the texture that I could get on the beach here. So I don't know if you can see, but I was really trying to play with different textures. What could I do with the feathers? How could I make that communicate feathers? So yeah, I really enjoyed this a lot. And also this, I think, was one of the first times that I used the white Neo color one to see what I could do. And yeah, and then so I was like, all right, the white, hello white. On day 12, I did bark, and I really liked the way this little dog came out a lot. Very cartoony, and I'm really happy with the way it came out. And as happy as I am with the dog, that's how sad I was with the marble. I tried to do a marble, and like I went in way hard, way fast. I wasn't even trying to be lightly handed with that. I did not have a lot of time, but I did do a marble redemption. So stay tuned because I have a couple redemption drawings, that I just wasn't happy with. And that was another thing that I learned, that like each one didn't need to be perfect, that I could revisit these when I had the time, or had some more time to think about how I wanted to approach such an object and with what, media I wanted to use and how I would approach it with that media and how would I do things differently. Yeah, it was just, I just learned so much. I am so happy that I did this. Here I did brush. This was another one that you'll see a redemption for really the next page. So hold tight. I need a sip. So here, brush and aquarium, this is where I really was getting frustrated. Marble, brush, and aquarium. I felt like I was really feeling the limitations of just using the Neo color ones. And I was like, I really want to bring in other media. And so on day 16, after 2 weeks of really just using these and these alone, I brought in other stuff. And I'm really so happy that I did. So day 16 was hatch. And on day 16, I still used my Neo colors on the little creature's eye or whatever in there. But on day 16, I started to use these Derwent Line Maker pens that I love so much in the color graphite. And I used also these Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. And I have 3 gradients. I have like a light gray, a medium, and a dark gray. And so I had 3 different values. And I think also I may have gone in with maybe the brush pen of the cool gray of the touch liner just to kind of layer it up and deepen the shadows. But that's what I used there. And here you can see on the left is my redemption brush. And I didn't do this until 12 days later so this is a week and a half after I've been using, pens. Just like, really using pens. And I intentionally put it on the opposite page because I personally can see how far I've come. Really tell how much more confident my line making is in the brush than in when I started hatching and the hatch drawing. And I even remember how timid I was with the approach and how confident I was with the brush for this one. I didn't use pencil at all. I just went right in. And so this for me is a real mark of growth. And then I also ended up incorporating just some acrylic gouache to cover the background because I had so much ghosting on each side of the like it was taking away. I don't know if you can, for me anyway, if you can see the aquarium coming through. I could really, and it was really taking away from like the actual drawing. Like you can see it down here for me. So I decided to just cover it up with some acrylic gouache, and I'm really thrilled with the way it looks. I love the contrast between like these kind of black and white drawings with the bold graphic look of the gouache on the back. I'm really happy with that. Now, here's my redemption marble on the 30th. I did the redemption marble, and I did this with these, again, the clean color brush pens. Those were great to have 3 different values, and they can really build each other up. And this was a good exercise to practice that. You know, and this was, I used a reference photo for a clear marble. So that was really cool. And then here, though, on the 18th, the prompt was Toad. And I went in and I drew, clearly, Toad from Mario Brothers, right? But again, I wanted to do on an opposite page where I could kind of really see the growth between my drawings just in a couple weeks. I'm practicing drawing every day. So the 17th was the whistle. And here I've just been using the pens for a few days. I didn't pencil this drawing. This was my first like ink drawing that I went in. And I was real timid with my lines. And I can really see that in my strokes, even with my shadow lines. I was so timid. And then I get so much more confident, I feel. With Toad, I didn't, you know, just go in and start with my brush pens for like shading, because I felt like that was easier. I used that down in his bottom belly, but I tried to push myself with some cross hatching, got frustrated, and, you know, used this pen on his clothing and stuff. This is just like black ink, you know, and yeah, like that. I don't even know what to say for myself. I tried to use Tombow markers, and it was not successful. And I kept it in. I didn't cover it, you know, just to remind myself that some days are like that, but then some days are like this. And I'm really happy with the next page. So pages. So here, this was the 20th, and this was Truck. This was, I also didn't use pencil with this one. And I used a reference photo. And this, I tried a blind line contour drawing, which basically you put your pen onto paper and you look at your reference photo and you just draw and you don't look at your paper, you know? So you're try not to pick your pen up and try not to look at your paper. And it makes like a cute wonky drawing. Now then after that, I went in and tried to clean it up and stuff like that. I mean, you can, I don't know, but it was a good exercise for me because, you know, yes, I do know how to transfer an image to paper. I do. But here I wanted to try the blind line contour drawing. And then I wanted to go in and see what I could do with my pens to try and clean it up. I wasn't so scared. I wanted to push myself here, you know, and I wasn't afraid to make mistakes or to make an ugly piece of art. I really just wanted to play and see what I could do, see what it, you know, to play with different line weights, to try and correct my mistakes. And doing a blind line contour drawing, like I knew it would give me a lot of mistakes to go in, silly ones that I would find funny and joyful and wonky, and I had great fun with this. Now, Amazon had recommended these, and I was in right away. So mid-month, I picked up these and they arrived. And then I saw Lindsay had picked up the same set as well, the Frugal Crafter. And so I'm guessing Amazon like thought we would all like these. And I'm telling you, we all will. If you haven't picked up a set of these, you really should. They're $7.99. They're gel pens, and they're 4-in-1 gel pens. Like, I don't know if you remember like the old school one. It comes with also a clear one like this, which is in my purse. This is the only duplicate. But then the other ones, they all come with different colored gel ink pens. Oh my, and they're pretty, you know, they're pretty colors. And so I did this one with the blue one. And I had a lot of fun with it, just kind of doing all different kinds of snowflakes. That was the prompt for the 21st. Really had fun with that. So happy I have these, and I use them for the prompt on the 23rd, which is paper. I drew them with these pens. And then here I ran into a paper that I had just used up some extra paint. I don't like to waste, so I'll put it in my sketchbook somewhere and just kind of like make a paper. And so this was one of those pages, and I decided that the prompt was web, so I just drew right on top of and I love how it came out. I think it's cool looking. And for this, I just used this pen. This pen, I used the Uniball I Micro. I used this pen. And oh, for pencil, I used this. And the Stabilo, this is water soluble graphite. And I really like this as a sketching pencil because it doesn't leave too much graphite down. And what was really fun is I was able to sketch with this and then go in with these markers. They're wet, and so like the ink from the marker would like dissolve the graphite right into it. And so that was a cool combo. If you're interested, I really liked that technique. I found helpful this month. All right, so then on the 26th was Bear, and this was another painty paper. I'll just take that off. This was another painty paper that I just had a bunch of yellow ochre acrylic gouache, and I put it on a page, and I did the bear right on top of it, and I used the acrylic markers to do the bear, and I had so much fun. I think it came out so cute, and I had so much fun with this little bear. I really did. And then the 27th was Axe. And I did like a scene from The Shining. I hope you can tell what scene that's from. That's an axe. And yeah, I sketched it out, and then I used some acrylic markers to color it in. And on the 31st, I realized I didn't use these at all. And I like them. And I don't know. These also are Derwent line makers in sepia. And I was like, all right, well, I'll try some bark. I'll try and do some. And I like that. More bark, less bite. I did on the more bark, less bite. I did on the 31st. Then the 24th and 25th, I had a real busy week this last week. It was a panic week. It was. I'm so glad it's over. Good riddance. This, I did spots. I attempted cow spots, and it was that week. It was that week for me. My art is reflective of my week. What can I say? This, I did stripes. I just couldn't. I had no time. It was a panic. So I did a panic button for the prompt button on the 28th. 29th. Oh, 29th was Whisker. I misdated that. 29th is Whisker. And yeah, had no time. So I just, clearly did that quickly. And then the 30th was Sour. I'm coming to the end here. I used these, and I think the line makers, and I also did the Shinhan Touch for Sour, and also for my ghost. I did a jar of kimchi, clearly, for Sour, and then I drew the ghost, and I am so happy. So this was my completed month. And I am almost done with this sketchbook, so there will be a complete flip through soon of this sketchbook. So please subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for staying with me today. I hope you all took part in an art challenge, and if you did, let me know down below. And if you didn't, I hope you consider doing so, and subscribe before you go. And until next time, everybody, which will be soon, take good care. Bye, y'all.